Back to the program. We're joined now by Representative Becca Balint. She's a Democrat of Vermont and a member of the Judiciary Committee. Congresswoman, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
And I know this is your first time on the program, so a special welcome to you. You just started your second term in Congress. First woman, first openly LGBTQ person to represent Vermont. Tell us about what you learned during your first term in Congress and what your priorities are for this one.
Absolutely. I'll start with my priorities. They are the same priorities that I had when I came in. The overarching priority is shoring up and protecting the democracy. That is something that's incredibly important to my constituents in Vermont. We have a terrible housing crisis in Vermont, one of the worst in the nation, so getting investments in housing. We also have a terrible mental health crisis that's impacting small towns and bigger cities in Vermont. That's also important to me. And I would add those are two things that I think we can get bipartisan work on. Things that I've learned is that the members on the other side seem to have, many of them, a different value around protecting the Constitution and the rule of law. And what has been surprising to me is the number of my colleagues in the Republican conference who will talk disparagingly about President Trump, who will talk disparagingly about the way that he conducts himself, and then in the end, they fall in line.
So
that's disturbing to me.
When you say that your Republican colleagues are maybe not protecting the Constitution and the rule of law, spell that out. What specifically do you think could happen?
Look, it's very deeply disturbing to me that I was sitting on the floor of the House of Representatives the other day with over 100 people that did not certify the last election. You cannot just support the winner when your guy wins. And the fact that we have a Speaker of the House right now who still will not admit that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, that isn't just a sign of a lack of character. It's an indication that they're willing to be loyalists to one man above the country. And so that is deeply disturbing to me.
What's the strategy going to be for Democrats? You do not hold the House, the Senate, or the White House.
So the one thing that I've been thinking about in earnest is that there are places that we do need to partner because we were sent here to do work on behalf of our constituents. So as I spoke about before, housing, mental health, certainly the opioid crisis, the economic disparity in this country, those are things that we do need to do work across the aisle, but we cannot compromise on our values when it comes to believing in the rule of law and shoring up the democracy. So we have a very fine tightrope that we need to walk here. And as Hakeem Jeffries has said, we need to partner wherever and whenever we can, but we need to know who it is that we're negotiating with. Because when you look at what happened in December, we had a deal. And Speaker Johnson walked away from that deal. So who are we negotiating with? Are we negotiating with Hakeem? Is Hakeem negotiating with Speaker Johnson? Is he negotiating with the incoming president? Or is he negotiating with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy? Who is on the other side of the table? Makes it very difficult to figure out how to work together.
If you'd like to speak to our guest, Becca Balint of Vermont, you can give us a call on our lines. The numbers are 202-748-8000 for Democrats, 202-748-8001 for Republicans, and 202-748-8002 for independents. You can start calling in now. You serve on the Judiciary Committee. What's your view of President-elect Trump's nominees, Pam Bondi as Attorney General, Kash Patel as FBI Director, and Tulsi Gabbard for DNI?
So Kash Patel, as a nominee for FBI Director, has literally said, I'm going to go after the press. I'm going to go after journalists. This doesn't happen in a healthy democracy. This is what happens when we are sliding towards authoritarianism. So I believe he is wholly unqualified. In the situation with Pam Bondi, she is somebody who has served as Attorney General in her home state. That is not somebody that, you know, I agree with politically, but certainly she is competent. And the last nominee that you mentioned, Tulsi Gabbard, the intelligence community has said, this is not somebody that we should be trusting with our national secrets. And I agree with them.
So what's your expectation then for the process in the Senate for those confirmation hearings? Are you confident about the vetting and the investigative process?
I believe some of the nominees will get through, certainly if they are qualified, even if they hold differing views from folks in the Senate. But, you know, I thought it was really interesting what John Thune said the other day, the incoming leader of the Republicans in the Senate. He said, look, I don't know if they're all going to get through, that there are some indications that there are Republican members in the Senate who are not thrilled with some of these picks. And so I think the fact that he went on, I believe it was Meet the Press the other day, saying, I have concerns, that's an indication that there are some concerns behind the scenes. So I hope that they will do their due diligence. That is what we as Americans expect them to do.
I want to ask you about what's on the front page of USA Today this morning, and it's this, Biden says, yes, he could have won re-election. Yeah. What's your opinion on that?
I did see that headline, and you know, every indication that we had as Democrats in the caucus was that the president was on a trajectory to lose, and most specifically that we were going to lose many, many House seats. Because of that, meaning the Democrats would lose House seats. And so we have we have a situation where the Republicans have a very narrow margin of victory. It's just 1 or 2 seats now when we look at who's being appointed to the administration. And it is incredibly sad and discouraging that when you look at all of the work that the president has done on behalf of the American people and all the investments that were made, that message did not get through. But it did not get through. And it was not getting through. And
why do you think it didn't get through? Why did Vice President Harris lose the election?
Well, I think it's multifold. I really do. And I think that is the work that we all have to do, is look into the details. But the ways in which we were all communicating with constituents about their most immediate needs was not effective. And you can't discount the amount of not just misinformation or disinformation that was being spread on social media. There has been a wholesale rewriting of what happened on January 6th. And that absolutely played into what happened in the election. No question.